So, why am I getting no audio? Why does this seem quiet? Better? Better. Better. How's the audio? Is it quiet or is it about right? Should I offer my hand and save a wish for once for all of us? Should I offer my hand and lay the guilt on myself so it's easier to not stay? Such a hurry, your face is lost in the crowd. This is out of tune. Hello everybody. I streamed a little bit early tonight. Normally I stream at 10. This time I decided to stream at apparently 9:40. So 20 minutes early, I suppose, than what I usually do. But that's because it's very important. This is the last stream that will happen prior to the fate of our country being decided. And look, I'm not a political channel. This isn't a political channel. But all I've got to say is go vote, make your voice heard. Please, if you haven't voted yet, vote tomorrow. Do it. Just vote. Choose the path forward for this country. Do you want us to be on a path that's positive or a path that's negative? I was trying to not be Well, yeah, Rick Hoover, be it you're old enough to vote, obviously. Yeah, because if you're not 18, then obviously, yeah, this doesn't apply to you. Which, to be fair, most of my audience is. And I'm sure there's some parents that might be watching this, some are already pissed off that I'm even mentioning the election, even though I haven't told you to vote for any specific candidate. Harris. But yeah, so if you have your mail-in ballots or anything like that, and you haven't sent it off yet, just make sure to go vote in person. Because at this point, if you have a mail-in ballot, just if you gotta drop it off, so unless you can't, then obviously drop it off. But depending on your state, it might need to be dropped up by tomorrow. Some states, it's like, it's different. But just vote. Just go out and vote. And I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Well, actually, I am. Good. Intellidick Studios hereby endorses Kamala Harris and Tim Walz for the presidency. There you go. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. We know what I think. Let's just fucking do it. Whatever. Go vote for Kamala Harris. And if you don't support Kamala Harris and you support whoever else, then still exercise your right to vote. Remember, if you're voting for Kamala Harris, Election Day is tomorrow. And if you're voting for Donald Trump or anybody else, Election Day is November 11th. Be sure to mark your calendars and keep that in mind. Anyways, so I'm not going to sit here and endorse any particular candidate or anything. I'm not going to hold up any sort of button with any person's name that would imply that they're the person who I suggest you vote for. But regardless of how you feel, be sure to go vote. Make your voice heard. It is a beautiful country when we all exercise our rights. Voter turnout in the last election was some of the highest we've seen, and it was the highest we've seen in our lifetimes. Let's juice those numbers. Let's get more people turning out to vote, because it's important, especially younger people, especially people my age. We don't vote, and we need to vote. It is our country. We need to decide which direction it goes, and we need to actually have a seat at the table. The average age of a president is super old, and the average age of a senator is even older. So we're not even older, but also old. The point is that we need some younger representations. People like Representative Maxwell Frost. People our generation. We need more people like that. Not just running, because I'm not saying you have to run if you don't want to, but vote for people that actually support the things that you believe in. And you can find the policy proposals for both candidates online pretty easily at this point. There's a lot of information out there, but be sure not to take anything as gospel unless you actually do your own research, because of course the internet is full of people who like to lie for no reason, mainly to earn themselves more money on ad revenue and advertising and whatnot. CS8 says Ruben Gallego for senator, not voting for Kari Lake. Yes. CS8, with your help, again, this isn't a political channel, but with your help, we can send Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to the White House and send Ruben Gallego to the Senate and get rid of what the hell's her name? I just forgot her name. I mean, she's not running anyways, but what was her name? I just forgot her name. Kirsten Sinema. Get rid of her. She sucks. Especially if you live in a swing state. If you live in the swing states, Rick Hoover, I know you live in a swing state. You better be voting. CSA, you better be voting. William, I already know you're voting. If you live in a swing state, especially, I live in Illinois, which is not competitive on any level, but still, I'm still gonna vote. I'm still gonna practice my right to vote. This is actually the first election where I'm personally voting in person. Before not in person, but where I'm voting on election day in person. I've always voted in person, but I always did early voting prior. But now I live in a precinct because I moved since the last election, the last federal election. Unfortunately, I now live in a precinct that doesn't have any early voting. So I have to wait until tomorrow. William, Sinema is out, LaMayo good. You didn't know that? Sinema's not running. Yeah, it's Ruben Gallego versus Kari Lake. Sinema is not running. She can't because Arizona has a sore loser law. I just want to say this too. If anyone's watching this VOD after the fact, first off, is it really a surprise? I'm gay. I support right to repair. That's pretty much it. I mean, those two things, because the Biden administration has actually done a pretty good job at supporting right to repair and trying to push that forward in Congress. And Trump wants me dead, so it's kind of easy. But that's one of those things. So, right to repair is incredibly important because, again, if I am going to evangelize about politics, I want to be relevant to this channel. Vacuum repair, as you know, is very important to this channel. Rescuing all these old machines and keeping them up and running. Right to repair is very important because we're seeing with a lot of modern machines are not going to have the lifespan that a lot of these older machines did because parts are not available. And unfortunately, a lot of companies do not see a reason to supply parts being available unless their hand is forced. The UK has been pushing a lot more laws for right to repair, and I think it's very important that we have laws like that on the books here in the US because, we saw the EU. They're part of the reason why the iPhone now has USB Type-C. And so a lot of those positive changes to the industry, not just the vacuum industry, but also many industries around the country, they're all very important. And it's just one of those things where, there is a candidate that's fighting for right to repair if you care about right to repair. So I'm not going to speak on other issues because that's obviously your prerogative. But if we're keeping it relevant to this channel, right to repair is very important. And it's supported by like 98% of the country. I mean, it's not exactly a partisan proposal. And there's also the fact that for whatever reason, Trump has not been in support of it. Because here's the thing. I would love to tell you that both Trump and Biden have been in support of right to repair and that it's a wash and that, that particular issue is split across the board. But it's just not. Trump has not done anything when he was in office to actually push forward anything positively in terms of right to repair. So Biden has. So the Harris administration, obviously piggybacking off some parts of the Biden administration, that's important. And I feel like it's something that should be addressed. And if you are in support of right to repair and that is a top issue for you, that's something to consider when you go to the voting booth tomorrow if you haven't voted already. So that is one of those things where, you shouldn't have to be forced to pick a certain brand or anything like that in order to actually get parts, because a lot of brands are trying to phase that out. And it's not just vacuums. It's with many more important things like tractors and cars and critical medical equipment and the McDonald's ice cream machine. So many things that are the backbone of this country that we need them to be constantly working, and we need the ability to repair them if necessary. And, Trump posted a tweet recently saying that, he'll fix the ice cream machines if he's reelected. It was a funny little a funny little meme of Biden with an ice cream cone and a MAGA hat on it. It was very funny. But he's not going to, I don't think he's going to do it. I mean, if I was confident he'd do it, then, maybe. I mean, I guess outside of all the other shit that he's done. But, that'd be something where it'd be good. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think Harris will, though. Or at least she'll try. Frankly, I'd rather take a risk with a new administration where someone has a chance of doing something good, no pun intended, than the administration that I already know will not. I think it's that simple. I missed a bunch of comments, so yeah, I missed a bunch of comments because I was preaching. Hello, everyone's saying hello and whatnot. Let's see, Rick Hoover says, woo! Braden Johnson says, hey Chance, what's up? CS8 says, an Illinois siren test? Yeah. William says, whoever you vote for, just do it, exercise your right. Exactly! Very important. CS8, it's our country, America, vote, vote. Amen to that. Go vote, make your voice heard, assuming you're 18 and eligible to vote and, legal citizen and all that stuff. So But yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, and remember, a lot of states do have same-day registration, so you should be you should have registered by now. But if you haven't, there are a handful of states that do allow same-day registration. Illinois is one, Wisconsin is one, there's a few others, so feel free to look up your local election laws and find out if you have the option for same-day registration. And if you did somehow miss it and you missed the deadline and you can't vote this time, then you better not catch me finding out that you missed the next one, because of course there is an election. There's elections every year. Every year is an election year technically, for some parts of the country at least. Everyone always thinks about the president, but it's in many ways it's just as, if not more important, to vote in your local races. Vote for your mayors, vote for your governors, vote for your city council members, vote for your individual precinct captains and all that stuff. Like all that's equally important. So it's not just as simple as marking Harris or Trump and then leaving. You got to pay attention to everything that's on your ballot and make sure to research all the candidates. It's also not ideal if you just vote straight ticket, because there are some variances in some local candidates, and you want to make sure that that person is aligned with your values, irregardless of the letter next to their name. Obviously, I'm in an area where I'm heavily outrun by Republicans. Even though I live in a very blue state, my specific precinct, and especially my specific area of the state, is not exactly friendly towards more independent, left-leaning candidates. So obviously there's very little. I actually met one of the guys who was running in the city next door. He's a super cool dude. I wish I could vote for him, but I can't because I'm not in that precinct. But he's super based. But yeah, so one of those guys. Yeah, you remember now. Yeah, William, I voted by mail, but I want to go there tomorrow and see if I can get one of those Michigan I voted stickers. Have you seen those? Yes. The friggin', like the one that the kid drew of the werewolf ripping off his shirt saying I voted in big block letters. That is based. That is based. And yeah, very awesome. CS8 already voted, not saying who for privacy. I could guess, but I respect that. Billiam, I'm a car person as well, so that's very relevant to me even outside of vacuums. Yes, big W to the UK as well. Gamer says, right to repair is something I need so I can swap out my DVD drive on my PC when the drive dies. Exactly. And there's a ton of channels out there. Obviously, everyone knows Louis Rossmann. He's even touched on vacuums a couple times, although not super often. I really need to do more videos directly targeting the repairability of vacuums directly, and I really need to get better at that and not just having it be a footnote in a review. And hopefully we'll make the right choice tomorrow, the left choice. William Billiam says, that's one of the reasons I've fallen in love with SIBO. I can still get parts for a machine that has been made for nearly 15 years. Absolutely. Rick Hoover, Major Appliances, are doing that too. Absolutely. Fridges, washing machines, dishwashers, a lot of that stuff. William Billiam, if only we had a way to know what Trump would do, maybe even a few years of experience. Who knows? Yeah, if only he had like some record or something to run on, I mean, who is this guy? I've never heard of him before. It's not like he's been running for 9 years or anything. But yeah, absolutely. Riley Glover says, hi, Chance. CS8 says, even schools. Colton Tucker says, I work on lawnmowers and it's hard to get parts for them anymore. William Billion, state Supreme Court seats too. Absolutely. Base. Jave Sykes says, what's up? Buster 1849, voting for the first time ever tomorrow. I'm proud of you. Man, Buster, I haven't seen you in a long time, man. How are you? It's been good. You're one of the OGs, man. You really are. I think you've been around since what, 2018, I think, since the inception of the vacuums. Maybe 2019, I can't remember. It's been a while. So yeah, you go way back, man. I always love seeing you here. But yes, voting for the first time tomorrow, and I think I can kind of guess, helping turn Tennessee blue. 100% respect that. Ooh, that was spicy. In God we trust. Amen, brother. I sent the screws to your thunder. Oh, thank you. I completely forgot about that. I appreciate it. Rick Hoover, Louis Rossmann is king. He is the king. Louis Rossmann is based. I want a Jave Psych. I want a mint condition Bissell 3522-5 on high bid. and I watched the Bissell 6596. That's awesome. Hey, getting into Bissell now. Man, everyone's copying me at this point. Bissels and Phantoms. Bissels and Phantoms. Everyone's doing Bissels and Phantoms now. Now I can't get any anymore because everyone buys all of them. No, I'm just now people are finally seeing the light and the beautiful machines that they should be appreciating. Absolutely. Buster, I'm doing all right. Been super busy the past few months. Well, hey, I totally can relate to that pretty good. But I'm glad you're doing well. I think I saw, I don't know if it was your most recent video, but it was at the time at least. It was a video on your, I think it was on your red DC-25. Because I think I was like, oh yeah, I got the same one. Gamer is awesome. I know I'm under 18, but I hope we all vote the right person, not saying due to opinion reasons. Yes, totally get that. I 100% respect, but that's the only thing that sucks is that, I mean, not to be that guy, but we know that there's like one side that's a bit more against saying who you voted for, if you oppose their specific candidate. I mean, I even just had this today. One of my coworkers, on my way out of like when they were leaving work, they said, because I told them, 3 weeks in advance, that I was taking tomorrow off to vote and for election day, because normally I take Wednesdays off, so I moved it to Tuesday, and I let my boss know and everything, so everyone was on the up and up. And then on the way out, she said, I hope you get in a car wreck so that way you can't vote. Like, what the fuck was that? It was really strange. And I'm like, okay, that was kind of, I mean, I get where she was coming from. She was trying to make a joke. She was trying to make a lighthearted joke, but it didn't really come across that way. And then, and then I was like, that's kind of a lot, isn't it? Like Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not that serious. And then, I mean, it's serious, but it's not like, and then she was like, oh, it's okay if you, and then she joked, and then she joked about, oh, well, I'll just slash one of our tires so that way we can't come in, and then you have to come in and you can't vote, so that way the store is open. And I was like, okay. And then her husband was just like, I don't care. Because he doesn't give a shit who wins. But I was just like, wow. Jesus Christ, that's kind of a lot. I don't know. That was kind of weird. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And it was already where, like, the boss's son was also, like, rattling off, like, how much he loves Trump, to the point where he started playing. Like, we were at work, customers were there and everything, customers were in the store, and he just starts on the other computer, starts playing a Trump rally, and I'm just like, bro, what are you doing? He's not even old enough to vote. He's 17, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? I don't know. People are just weird, and I've got a front doorbell camera, so if someone tries to like steal my sign or they try to set my house on fire or whatever, I'm prosecuting those motherfuckers. I don't give a shit. All I can say is that don't come crying to me if you're stupid. Okay, I'm starting to get way too in the weeds. All I can say is if you make comments like that, I'm not gonna lose sleep if your wannabe fascist orange dictator doesn't win. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna make any slights against anyone personally. I'm gonna say, in the most basic term, I hope your candidate doesn't win, for the sake of the country. That's all I'm gonna say. But it's like, like William Billiam, exactly. They probably think they're triggering you, which is like, what? You're adults. Exactly. Like, I remember, like, I mean, I hate to say this, but I kind of feel like the good litmus test is if they see Tim Walz, because Tim Walz is one of the best candidates that we've had in a long time for vice president, in our lifetimes, as far as I'm concerned. Super down to earth guy, was a farmer, was a union guy, did a lot of great things in the state of Minnesota. He gave kids, free breakfast and lunch, so that way the parents didn't have to worry about that. I remember that growing up as a kid. I remember the reduced school lunches and the parents that didn't quite make the threshold for it, or were too embarrassed to be seen as taking welfare. And, he made that no longer a thing. Kids don't go hungry in Minnesota. And there's so many other examples, but it's like, I don't understand. I just don't understand how you look at someone like that and you shit on that person. I'm just like, I don't know what to say to you at that point. Like, if you shit on Tim Walz for feeding children, and then you tell your coworker who's been nothing but nice to you that you hope they get in an accident so that way they can't vote, it's just baffling to me. Like, I was kind of shocked because, like, it didn't really, like, set in with me because at the time I was just like, oh, yeah, whatever, yeah. But then I've been thinking about it because that was only a few hours ago, and I'm like, that was fucked up. Like, that wasn't even, that wasn't even funny. Like, it wasn't a joke. You wish that I get in a car accident so that way I can't vote? Man, that's fucked up. What is wrong with these people? It's amazing to me. And it's like, I'm a vacuum YouTuber. I have no business talking politics. I have a political channel, but you can ask Will. Like, it's never got off the ground. But, like, it's really hard for me to stay silent, at least in this one instance. Just let me have this one stream, this one instance where we can talk about it. And I just can't support that. I can't. I mean, that's just, I would never, like, it makes no sense to me. Like, how do you even, it doesn't even occur to me. Maybe I'm just too nice of a person, but that wouldn't even occur to me as, like, something that should come up as, like, something to say. It wouldn't even be a thought. Like, I don't know, it's just strange. And it's like, this is a person, like, I've been really nice to her. I've never been mean to her. In fact, I've done, a lot really to keep the business running whenever the boss wasn't there and whenever they were struggling. And they'd find some excuse to, like, bitch at me about something, or I don't know. I don't really have much respect for her at this point, because I mean, that's just a low blow. I mean, and this woman's in, like, her 40s. Like, she's not young, she's not immature or anything like that. And even if she was my age, even if she was the kid who was 17, like, you're fucking smart enough to say something better than that. And like Rick Hoover said, where's the punchline? Yeah. Buster 1849, but we're not in a cult. Yeah, that's really how it is. And I'm not saying, and that's the thing is, there's a lot of people out there who genuinely have voted for Donald Trump, especially in the past, because he ran especially in 2016, where he ran a populist campaign. He was rallying against the trade deals. He was hammering Clinton on corruption, and he was hammering Clinton on her issues with the Clinton Foundation and with the Goldman Sachs speeches and with the email server. Like, people forget all this stuff. Clinton ran a terrible campaign in 2016, and that's not the case anymore. This is part of the reason why I believe that Harris will win, despite the noise that the polls are making right now. That was 8 years ago. And Clinton barely lost, and she ran a terrible campaign against the strongest version of Trump that's ever existed. And we remember that election. Dobbs has happened since then. Do I really think there's enough people that are coming out that have never voted for Trump before to vote for him this time? I don't know. It's possible, though, and that's why you still should vote, because it isn't over until it's over. And even if you are still voting for Trump, I'm trying to think of a good reason to, but maybe. I see a lot of people that are supporting Trump because, gas prices were cheaper under Trump, and grocery prices were cheaper under Trump, and inflation wasn't as bad. And it's like, you realize that's still because of Trump, right? Because the COVID pandemic was drawn out way more than it should have been because Trump didn't take it seriously in the first place. Now, credit's due. Operation Warp Speed, he did get the vaccines out there, and he did get them out to people, and there were people who were able to take the vaccine. Although I'm trying to remember when the rollout was. Was it before Biden took office? I think it was like right around the transition, if I remember correctly. So, credit's due. Like, he eventually kind of woke up to everything being real, and even though he in public said that it was still a hoax, privately he was saying this is a big deal, which he was fucking lying about it. But, to try to give him a little bit of leeway, he probably didn't want people to freak out about it, but at the same time, that still wasn't the way to do it. And so people forget that inflation has been happening all over the place, and the U.S. has had it relatively easily. I know it doesn't feel that way, but he's asking the question of, are we better off than we are 4 years ago? And I can't speak on your guys' behalf. I'm personally way better than I am 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I was not in a good place mentally, and I was struggling a lot more than I am now. And I don't think that's really related to the presidency very much, and I think that's the case with people on the other side of that too. But if he's gonna ask the question, then yeah, for me the answer is no. The answer is I am better off now than I was 4 years ago. And yeah, I mean that's how it is. It's not perfect. People are still struggling, obviously, in many, many ways. But it feels like there's an administration. If one administration is running on, or one candidate I should say is running on a first-time home buyer's loan, or not even loan, just as outright assistance for first-time home buyers, and allowing Medicare to cover in-home care, and a few other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. And then the other candidate is having rallies where he's having weird, niche comedians complain about Puerto Rico being garbage, apparently. Like, is it really is it really that hard of a choice these days? Like, is it really? I don't know. It's there's still at a minimum 45% of the country that's going to look at that and say, I want more of that. Yeah. And also, yeah, so, okay. William, civil discourse is dead. Like, our side isn't innocent either, but it's clearly a response to one particular side that's way, way worse. Yeah. Where's the punchline? Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because people were saying recently that, Biden called Trump supporters garbage. This is Biden's, Hillary basket of deplorables moment. And it's like, weren't you guys saying for the last 40 years that Biden is senile and has no idea what the fuck he's saying? And yet now you want him to take responsibility for this garbage comment that he allegedly made, when you watch the clip, it's pretty obvious that he was stuttering really bad. These are the people saying that Biden is senile. And hell, I'll concede, I think Biden's fucking senile at this point. He is. But you know what? I was the one saying that Biden was senile back in 2019 when he was making those comments about, I love kids jumping on my lap and I love roaches and hairy legs. Like, Biden said that shit back in 2019. And I was making that argument at the time because I was in support of Bernie Sanders. And well, not because, but because people were kept saying Bernie was too old, even though Trump and Biden were the same age pretty much, and Bernie is way sharper than the both of them combined. Even to this day, he's still sharper than both of them combined. And anyways, I'm going on a rant now, but it's like all of a sudden now we're supposed to believe that Biden is capable of, sincerely saying that half the country's garbage. Yeah, it's crazy. And here's the thing. You want to know something that's really funny to me that I actually clicked with me just a couple days ago? I should have mentioned this when I was talking to Will. So Republicans, and to be fair, Democrats too, like I said, I've been saying it too, so independents as well, have been saying that Biden's been senile for the past 4 years. And okay, so then if that's the case, then any of your arguments you have against the Biden-Harris administration is moot, because the guy's senile. I mean, the country's doing as good as it is, and the guy doesn't know where the fuck he is, and the guy isn't doing anything? Like, and we're still doing this decent? Imagine when we have, imagine we have a younger person, actually in the White House, because remember, if we replace Biden with Trump, we're not getting anyone any younger. We're not. Like, Trump's the same age as Biden. Trump is the same age now that Biden was like 2 years ago. So I don't really understand the logic of saying Biden's too old and then now voting for Trump. Which is it? Are they too old? Because to me, if the problem is that Biden is too old, then you should easily be in support of Harris, because she's only 60. Biden is 81, Trump is 78. Or 77, 78. I think he just turned 78. Like, Biden and Trump are so close in age, they could have gone to high school together. We just don't notice Trump's cognitive decline as much as we notice Biden's, because he's always said crazy shit, and he's saying it in the same cadence that he always has, whereas Biden is a lot slower, he's a lot more monotone, he's a lot more whispery, and, like, you can just tell, like, you look at Biden in the debate with Paul Ryan in 2012. If that Biden, that exact Biden was running now, then he wouldn't have had to drop out in the first place, because he would have crushed Trump. Crushed him. 2012 Biden versus 2024 Trump, not even a contest. And I think he'd be doing even better than Harris is doing right now, because, he's got that name recognition on top of him as well, and of course he'd be the incumbent. So it's, anyways, I just went on a random, hot take that probably isn't relevant, but still. But yeah. And then, everyone's voting against Project 2025. I think you guys are pretty good about that sort of thing. And look, I'm not, even just for this, I don't want this to be an echo chamber. I don't want this to be hateful towards Trump supporters. I genuinely want to see, if someone is watching this and you're voting for Trump, nobody, please, if someone comments, I don't want anybody to attack them. I don't. I actually want to know. I actually want to understand the logic of supporting Trump. Like the actual reason. Like, what policy does Trump support? What policy will Trump support in 2024 and 2025 that would make you vote for him, or is making you vote for him if applicable? I actually want to know. Like, a real tangible thing, not just, oh, I feel like it was better a couple years ago. Because for some people that's enough, and I totally get that. But you have to pay attention to what they did. Like, what are they doing? What did Trump do that made life so much better? And I remember I was talking to a family member at one point, and they said, look, I don't have the answer. I just know that it felt better when Trump was in office. And it's like, look, I get that. I totally get that. I personally feel more comfortable with Biden in office, or Harris for that matter, or just not Trump, or not a Republican. So, and for a lot of people, it is just vibes. you know what percentage of the country who votes actually votes based on policy? It's not as big as we'd like to say. This is part of the reason why Trump won in 2016. It was the vibes. Clinton was stiff. She seemed untrustworthy. Her approval rating was in the toilet. And now none of those factors are the case with Harris. Harris is not the same as Clinton, and she's even not the same as Harris was even a year ago, let alone 4 years ago. I genuinely feel like she's a much better candidate now, and I'm very happy to say that because I don't want this election to suck, you know. So, you know, she seems like she's really grown into the role, and I think that's really good. You know, I don't know. I think we have a shot. I think we have a shot at a brighter future. I really do. Boppo, American politics can be a cesspool. My dad ran for road commissioner years ago as a Republican, and the other side tried to dig up anything on him and full-fledged slandered him. I mean, yeah, I totally get that. Like, people will do that. You know, I guarantee you, if I ran for anything here locally, you'd have all these attack ads saying, "Oh, he's queer. Oh, here's his Grindr profile from 4 years ago. Oh, here's his fursona that we found on Reddit, and oh, he's a secret furry." You know, like, I mean, realistically, what are they gonna dig up on me? What are they gonna dig up on me? Oh, he calls himself a faggot sometimes. Okay, who cares? I don't care. Like, I don't think they'd find anything on me, but that's the thing, is they don't need to. You know what fucking terrifies me? This AI crap. Because someone could just make a video, just create a video and just pump it full of, you know, it's not like there's not a billion things on my face and just say, here's this terrible thing. Like, it's my face, like, badly AI'd onto some random person. It's someone, like, in a back alley paying someone money for, I don't know, meth or something. I don't know. Like it's, I mean, there's obviously even more terrible scenarios I can think of because I'm anxious, but I can't mention them on YouTube. Like, this kind of crap can happen. We literally saw this with Tim Walz, where someone had made a deep fake AI video of one of his former students allegedly claiming that Tim Walz had assaulted them. And that person who they were claiming was in the video had to come out and say, that's not me. That's AI. That's not me. And thank God it didn't cause any traction, because that could swing a fucking election right there. Isn't that terrifying? This sucks. We are truly living in the cursed timeline. Also, anyone who dug into it even slightly knew Trump was a fraud, and his time as president proved it. He ran it as a populist, just became George W. Bush 2.0. Exactly! He's the swamp he said he drained. The biggest thing he accomplished was a 2017 tax bill that would have made George W. Bush, I don't want to get graphic, but would excite him very vividly. And, you know, that, again, like, everyone wants to say, oh, the Democrats are corrupt. I'm like, what corruption charge can you even find Biden on? Or Harris, for that matter? You could on Clinton. Like, everyone agrees Hillary Clinton is fucking corrupt. No one disagrees with that, unless you're a partisan hack. Clinton has some major skeletons in her closet. Harris, she locked up people for smoking weed even though she smoked weed herself. That's bad, don't get me wrong, that's terrible. That is part of her record, she can't deny that. But, you know, there's ways she can make up for that. And I still maintain that she should legalize weed, because wouldn't that be the perfect circle to that? Be like, I've made some mistakes as a prosecutor. I had to put people behind bars for weed when I knew in my heart that wasn't right. Today, I make amends for it, and we are now freeing every nonviolent drug offender, and we are legalizing weed nationwide. We're removing it from the Schedule 1 classification. Weed is now legal federally. And if she did that, 2028, landslide. Biggest landslide we've seen in years. Not even kidding. Like, there's no law that says elections have to be close. Just because every election in our lifetime has been incredibly close, maybe not '08, but like every other election's been incredibly close, there's not a law that says that has to be the case. If you do popular shit and you fight for people, you can win in a landslide. FDR did it, Reagan did it, even Clinton, well, he didn't really do it. It was more so just because he wasn't Bush. But that's the thing, is it's like it's entirely possible for candidates to run away with it. And that's why I don't think it's entirely impossible that Harris sweeps all the battlegrounds. Now, one of my friends was predicting that Seltzer poll is right and she wins Iowa. I think that's crap. There's no way. I will eat a phone case on stream if Harris wins Iowa. But I guess I better get ready for it now. But yeah, it's just one of those things. So let's get into my prediction, because I've had this prediction's been the same for a number of months. We're on YAPMS, and I think this is fun. So we'll do this. We'll talk about the election, and I'm gonna move these laptops out of the way so I have more space to use my darn keyboard. But yeah, so. Okay, so here we are on YAPMS, which is a map website where we can, and I'll scooch this over a little bit so you can see it a bit better. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the map so that way it doesn't jiggle around. So first we got to fill out the candidates, of course. If I remember how to do that. Oh, nope, not North Dakota. Where is it? Oh, candidates, here it is. So, of course, we got Harrison Walls. And here's the thing. I'm also going to predict the popular vote. So Kamala Harris will get, and then we're not going to know this for several days. We're not going to know this tomorrow. We're not going to know this until California, New York, Florida, Texas get all of their votes in and certify their results. But Kamala Harris is going to win 50.4% of the popular vote, which is almost a point less than what Biden did, but it's still a majority. So she's going to slightly underperform Biden in the popular vote. But, and I'm dropping my guitar. But she's still going to win a majority. Part of this is because of Jill Stein and a few other candidates. And part of this is simply just because there are some states that are moving away from Democrats, particularly Florida and some parts of New York. So now we've got Trump and Vance. So, of course, and then they're going to actually collapse in vote share. Trump is going to get 44.7% of the popular vote. In the last two elections, he's got 46%. In 2016, he got 46.1%. In 2020, he got 46.9%. And so now I predict his vote share will actually be the lowest it'll be in any of the three elections, whereas Harris will be in between Clinton and Biden. So now the popular vote does not predict the president, so that's irrelevant. So we're going to start by filling out all the safe states for Trump. So the states that will confidently vote for Trump include Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, South Carolina, Maine's second congressional district, the more rural district in upstate Maine. We've got Iowa, which we're going to touch on later. I actually had this as safe red for a long time. I think I might move it, but we'll see. My former home state of Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. We got North and South Dakota, Wyoming, the majority of Nebraska, with the exception of the exception of the second congressional district, Kansas and Oklahoma, Montana, Idaho, Utah. Yes, okay, that is right. Yeah, for some reason I almost said Wyoming, even though I already said that. And then now the states that will not be competitive for Kamala Harris, we've got Maine's 1st District, Vermont, Connecticut, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Delaware, Rhode Island, Maryland, D.C., New York State, my home state of Illinois, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, California, and as well as the former swing states of Colorado, New Mexico, and Virginia, which the Trump campaign will tell you that these are competitive. They're not. In a similar vein, we also have some states for Trump that are not exactly competitive this time around, although, to be fair, Virginia and New Mexico could be a little bit narrower, but they ultimately will still vote relatively comfortably for Harris. A similar story with Trump. Alaska, Iowa, Ohio, and Florida are going to be relatively solid for Trump. There's that Des Moines Register poll that came out that had Harris +3 in Iowa. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to go to Trump pretty comfortably, unfortunately. But anyways, and for some reason I keep trying to drag the map, and I think it's because I have it locked. So, and then we're also going to see Maine at large, New Hampshire. Why does Ohio keep getting selected? Minnesota, Tim Walz's home state, which will actually be pretty comfortable for him. And then we're also going to see Texas still vote red, although it's going to be a little bit narrower. Now we have the toss-up states, with the exception of Nebraska 2, which is going to go to Harris. So this is where most forecasters have this race. Is my chat dead, or do people just not give a shit about this? Okay, I promise I'll make this quick. So Michigan is going to be about a 4 or 5 point victory for Harris. I could put it as lean, or I could put it as likely. It's teetering on the edge. Same with Nevada. Could be our 4 or 5 point victory for Harris. And that's pretty much that. Arizona is leaning blue this time around. This state is shifting left. Maricopa County is drastically growing, and I think this will be an influx of Democratic voters in Arizona, especially since we have abortion referendums on the ballot in both Nevada and Arizona. But Arizona is not going to be as blue as Nevada, primarily because there's also an immigration referendum on the ballot, which will also help Trump. So they'll kind of counteract a little bit, but there will still be a little bit more blue vote in Arizona this time around. Again, Arizona's already rejected Trump. It's not exactly unclear to say that it will stay blue again. It'll shift a little bit more bluer. She'll win it by 2.3. So, Pennsylvania also, I think, will go to Harris, although this one could go to Trump if things go really bad. The early vote right now in a lot of these states is looking very interesting, as Republicans are leading in early vote, and a lot of people are speculating that that is a bad sign for Harris, and it definitely is. However, we have to remember that the opposite happened in 2016, where Democrats were leading a lot of the early vote, and then Trump came up and curb-stomped Hillary on Election Day. It's entirely possible that the reverse is happening this time around in 2024. Tim Walz being from the neighboring state of Minnesota, as well as Roe being a big issue, and the recent Supreme Court justice election, where the more Democratic-aligned candidate won by 11 points. I think that will give Harris Wisconsin. So ultimately, my basic map is Harris 287, Trump 219, with North Carolina and Georgia being pure toss-ups, where I can't really confidently call either of those states. But if I had to put money on it, which I technically did, then I do think the last-minute push in momentum for Harris will cause her to sweep the last two states, although very narrowly. So the final map will be 319 electoral votes for Kamala Harris, 219 electoral votes for Donald Trump, which means that Kamala Harris will become the 47th president of the United States, and Tim Walz, the former governor of Minnesota, or the current governor of Minnesota, will become the vice president. And then J.D. Vance will presumably return to the Senate, and Trump will hopefully ride off into the sunset and never be seen or heard from again, but that's wishful thinking. Of course, Trump will challenge the election results. He will say it's rigged. He will claim that because he was up in the early votes that he should have won. He's going to claim a preemptive victory on election night just like he did in 2020. He will not concede, and we will likely have another January 6th on our hands, where we have some sort of demonstration that leads to a lot of turmoil at the Capitol or in some other governmental building. But nevertheless, the certification will still happen, although there will likely be more safeguards in place this time around. Now, what happens if I'm wrong? So if I'm wrong, first off, obviously, if I'm dead wrong and Trump has a lot of last-minute momentum that we actually don't see, and we think the Harris momentum is happening, but it's actually not, then we could see the opposite happen. Ohio would get much redder, as would Iowa, Alaska, Texas, and Florida. In that scenario, Trump would easily hold on to North Carolina, flip Georgia. If the border is a big issue, he could flip Arizona. If the early voting is a big issue, he could flip Nevada. And then at that point, he only needs Wisconsin to win. That would get him to 278. And if he does win Pennsylvania, then that gets him even further to 297. Now, in the polls right now, he's actually sweeping all the toss-up states, getting him to 312 to 226, which, according to the polling right now, is actually the most likely scenario to happen. They expect him to sweep all the battleground states. I'm predicting the exact opposite, where Harris sweeps all the battleground states. And with how close the battleground states are right now, there could easily be a 1 or 2 point shift in the final days or simply in the undecided voters, which could cause this election to actually not all be that close. And if that's the case, we could see either candidate run away with this and get either 312 or 319 electoral votes, respectively. Or we could see some weird splits, too. For example, if Trump is doing relatively well in the Rust Belt and relatively well in the Sun Belt, but he's not doing well in every state, we could see a scenario, for example, where Harris wins 2 of the battleground states, like, for example, Michigan and Arizona, but Trump could still run away with 286 electoral votes. This is probably the most likely map should Trump win, plus or minus Pennsylvania, because he wouldn't technically need it if he got Wisconsin or if he got Arizona instead. But I would say that if there is going to be a Trump victory, I think this is the most likely map for a Trump victory, if there is a Trump victory on the table. That would basically mean the 2020 states plus flipping Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Nevada. So, Buster1849 said, I hope this election isn't so close that it goes to the Supreme Court. Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. That is possible. So if we see... So Nebraska 2 is not exactly competitive this time around, but let's say that Kamala Harris sweeps the Rust Belt, but very narrowly, she gets to exactly 270. However, if Trump manages to flip back that rural district in Nebraska and he wins the other states, then we have a 269-269 tie, in which case we would have a contingent result decided based on the incoming House of Representatives, and each state delegation would get 1 vote, which means that Trump would likely retain the White House, or would likely acquire the White House. However, I don't really see Nebraska 2 going red this time around, but we can actually get that scenario as well in the opposite direction, where Harris sweeps the Sunbelt states. Actually, no, she doesn't sweep the Sunbelt states. So she sweeps North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, but Trump gets Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. That would also get 269-269. So if there's some kind of weird political realignment, where Harris does better in the Sun Belt, but Trump does better in the Rust Belt, which is not exactly impossible, although thankfully in this scenario it's unlikely, we would also have a 269-269 split. It is indeed very possible, even though a lot of pundits aren't talking about it this time around, because they probably know that it's not all that likely. But again, I don't really think it's likely that we see a perfect dichotomy split between the Rust Belt and the Sun Belt. There likely will be a split amongst them. For example, there's a scenario where if we say that Harris holds Nevada, if she only wins Michigan from the Rust Belt, but she maintains Georgia and Arizona, that would get her to 274. Conversely, the easiest path for both candidates, for Harris, is to, of course, hold the Rust Belt. That would get her to exactly 270. Contrary to Trump, his easiest path would be to hold North Carolina, flip Georgia, and flip Pennsylvania. That would get him to exactly 270. So there's multiple scenarios where this can happen. Now, you got to remember, the way they count the votes in a lot of these states means that some states will not be counted for a while. North Carolina and Georgia, especially Georgia, will likely be counted relatively early, and Wisconsin and Michigan will likely be called on Wednesday, but Pennsylvania and Nevada will likely take several days to call. So we have to hope that the election doesn't actually hinge on Pennsylvania, even though that's very likely, as if it does, then we would see a election that gets strung out for a long time. For example, if we see a map where Trump picks very early in the night, picks off North Carolina and Georgia, and then let's say he also wins Arizona, then at that point he would just need Wisconsin and he would get there. And Wisconsin will be the first Rust Belt state to be called. So it is possible that it's a relatively early night for Trump. Again, it wouldn't be an early night, but it's possible that Trump could be declared the winner midday Wednesday if this is the map, regardless of the way the other states go. Contrary to that, Harris, if she manages to hold Georgia, and Georgia manages to get called much more quickly, if she holds Arizona, and then she holds Michigan, even though Nevada probably won't be called very quickly, Wisconsin, in this case, could put her over the top, as could North Carolina, even without Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, or Nevada being called. So if it is a scenario where either candidate is running away with all the toss-ups, then we actually would potentially know the outcome as early as midday Wednesday. If this is an incredibly close race and they're constantly going back and forth with states, then it'd take a while. So, for example, if Trump gets called in North Carolina and in Georgia, but then let's say Harris gets called in Arizona, and then she gets called in Michigan, or in Wisconsin, and then she gets called in Michigan, then yeah, we're going to be waiting on Pennsylvania and Nevada, because at this point Pennsylvania would in fact decide the presidency, as even if Trump flips Nevada, then yeah, now at this point, again, the colors aren't right in terms of margin, but then obviously Trump would need Pennsylvania, or Harris would need Pennsylvania in this exact instance. So it could also be incredibly close. So it's important to not underestimate. Okay, what is my stream at right now? Oh, we got 12 viewers. I think people are people just honed into what I'm saying? Because if so, that's kind of cool. But yeah, so it'll be very interesting to know. So here's the way that I think election night will play out, and I'm gonna clear this again. Clear, yeah. So I'm gonna clear this again because yeah, this is still locked. Yeah. So first poll closings will happen. Indiana and Kentucky will be called for Trump. Vermont will be called for Harris. The next set of poll closings, Trump will win Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and South Carolina. In the next poll closing, he'll win West Virginia, and by this point, Harris will be declared the winner in Virginia. Virginia will be a little bit closer, but not ultimately at the end of it. Then the East Coast will be called, where the majority of the East Coast states will be called, as will be Illinois. And then Trump will sweep a lot of these Midwestern, or not Midwestern, but all these sort of central small states, the Dakotas, Wyoming, the majority of Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana. And then by this point, Harris will win New York and Colorado. And by this point, Trump will win Ohio and Florida. And they'll be relatively early calls, and Trump will essentially kind of scare a lot of people into believing that he's on track to win. But Harris will counter this by winning New Hampshire, Minnesota, and New Mexico. And then by this point, we'll have another poll closing in some later states: Montana, Utah, Iowa, and Nevada. Montana and Utah will be called for Trump. Trump will win the 2nd district in Maine, but Harris will win the rest of it. And she'll also win Nebraska too at this point. Trump will then be declared the winner in Iowa, whereas Harris will be declared the winner in Michigan. Harris will then win the state of Georgia. North Carolina will be too close to call, and Trump will win Texas. Then the West Coast comes in and closes, where he wins Idaho, but she wins the entire West Coast and Hawaii. Then the next thing that she'll win is Arizona. And then finally, Pennsylvania, and that will put her above the top. Now, it's also possible that I'm wrong, and Pennsylvania takes a while to call, and instead Wisconsin puts her above the top. And in fact, that's probably more likely now that I think about it. So scratch what I said. She'll then win Arizona, and then she'll win Wisconsin, and that'll put her up the top at 278. North Carolina will take a long time to call because it will be incredibly close, even though it was one of the first states to close. Then, after a few days, Trump will be called in Alaska, Harris will be called in Nevada, and in Pennsylvania. And then finally, after a long time of waiting, North Carolina. And this North Carolina will probably be called on Friday or Saturday. Pennsylvania will be called probably on Thursday, and then everything else will be called on Wednesday. So I predict that we will know Harris to be the winner midday to mid-evening on Wednesday. That's my prediction, based on the way that the vote totals will be counted. Although that's really hard to predict because it depends on how fast they count. Now, on the other hand, if we see a Trump victory, then we'll see a likely different scenario. In a Trump victory, which we'll clear this again, we'll see a similar starting point, but Virginia will take a lot longer to call, even though it'll still go blue. We'll see some other states get called a little bit more early. Again, I'll kind of fill in a lot of this kind of out of order. But yeah, if we see a relatively early Trump victory, then Ohio and Florida will be called even more quickly. Iowa will be called at poll closing time. And then we fill in the East Coast because none of that's going to change. New Hampshire will take a while to call. And even Minnesota will take a little bit. But yeah, Colorado will still be the first of these three to be called. But by this point, we'll likely see North Carolina flip, or not flip, but we'll see North Carolina go red at this point. We'll see Texas be called much more quickly, and we might even see Georgia flip relatively quickly if this is the case. Then we'll still see Harris come back and win some of her more comfortable states, so she'll be back in the game, but it will be very, very nerve-wracking. Then at this point, we'll see the West Coast close in favor of Harris, like we'd expect. And then, again, Maine will still come in the way that it normally would, but it might take a bit longer. She'll still ultimately win Nebraska too, but then at this point, we will see Trump start to pick off some Rust Belt states. At this point, he'll win Wisconsin, and then at this point, he'll win Arizona, in which case he's on the doorstep of victory. And then, in this case, Nevada would put him over the top. And then at this point, when the final two states call out... well, actually, now that I think about it, well, no, this is like if he really wins. Then at this point, Harris would likely still get Michigan, but then Trump would win Alaska and Pennsylvania, putting it 297 to 241. So, and if this is the case, then Pennsylvania would take a while to call. But it might actually be called a little bit more quickly than it would if Harris wins it, because we're not waiting for all the mail-ins to come in. We're simply waiting for enough of them to see if Trump's margin is big enough on Election Day to make up that deficit. And if it is, they'll determine that probably on Thursday night and call the election for Trump. So there's multiple paths for both candidates, and there's multiple scenarios. We could also see some weird split where, again, we'll leave all the safe states filled in. We could also see a weird scenario where, again, they go tit for tat. You know, she wins Michigan and Georgia, but he wins North Carolina and Arizona, and then it's super close. And then, you know, she gets Wisconsin, but then he gets Nevada. And then at this point, Pennsylvania is what decides the presidency. So again, there's a lot of goofy scenarios that can absolutely happen, and it's anyone's race. It's anyone's race. So hope you enjoyed that autistic breakdown of the election and the way it's gonna go. So it'll be very fascinating to see what happens. I will not be streaming election results because I'll actually be watching the returns with some friends and, you know, with plenty of alcohol on. What? What just happened? Whoa, what just happened? What? What just happened? Why did my computer freak out? What is happening? This is weird. Okay. What happened to why is my browser frozen? Why is the live stream messed up? Where is my window? Why is my OBS squished? What is happening? This is strange. I have no idea what just happened. My whole computer just like did some weird shit. You okay? I can't see the chat or anything. Let me pull up my phone. Something ain't right. Where is my... Yeah, I can't see anything. What is happening? I've just got a this is the chat. This is the chat right now. I can't click. It selected this different tab. My my whole browser is frozen. Oh. Hello? I should probably report this to the Supermium devs because this is interesting. Let me pull up the stream on my phone because I can't see shit right now. Let me pull up the stream on my phone because I can't see shit right now. Okay. Apparently it's still going. Okay. Apparently it's still going. Okay, so the stream is apparently still okay. Okay, so just my browser's just messed up. Okay. Is there how the hell am I gonna get this back without ending the stream? Because I can't. What? Hello? Oh no. If I end this task, it's gonna end my stream, won't it? Crap. Okay, the stream might. I don't know how. My. Ooh. Oh, hold on. Are we back? Hey, we're back. This is weird. Like, why is my OBS window all scrunched? Like, why is it 21:9 right now? This is strange. Okay, can we restore the chat? Oh, hey, there we go. And pop it back out again. Hey, there we go. Slap that over there. Okay, now I've got two windows open. Okay, well, I guess we'll close this one. Because apparently this is the same... I didn't even know I could do that. Alright. Again, this is... My OBS is, like, scrunched for some reason. But oh, hey, there we go. It's back now. Hey, I fixed it. So now it's, yeah, so now it's fixed. It's not ultra widescreen now. Okay, ain't that nice? It had a stroke. So did I, apparently. And now I've got two. That's kind of cool. I've got two chats going now, which I guess is helpful. I don't know which one is the most accurate, but we got two of them. Okay, what did I miss? Okay, I missed a lot of chats. Okay. It says I still got 12 viewers. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. My bitrate looks fine, though. And there's no drop frames. And it still says stream status poor. I'm very confused because it looks fine on my end. Wow. Maybe I shouldn't use this, like, random, like, browser that some random guy made. Maybe that's not smart. But I've used it on older OSs, and it's been fine. That's kind of the whole point of Supermium, is that it's like Chrome, but you can use it on... but you can use it on XP and Vista and 7 and all that. And I like it because I've got the old school Chrome trapezoids instead of the Pixel 3 notches that modern Chrome has. And because Firefox doesn't do well with YouTube, unfortunately. And that's 100% Google's fault, because Google sucks, honestly. I'm sorry, Google, I love you. Thank you for giving me life. Please don't smite me. Anyways. Yeah, William, yeah, I missed a lot of chats. Rick Hoover, Hillary is still bitter about it. She really is, though. God, I fucking hate Hillary. Although I had a dream a while ago where I met Hillary. And she seemed great. She seemed very nice. I don't know. Just go full Alex Jones. Hillary Clinton smells like sulfur. Yeah. I fucking hate homophobes, yeah. Duck Boy the Duck. Hey, it's been a while since I've watched a live stream. Hey. This might be way off subject, but should I get a new keyboard? Because my right control key is broken, but it somehow works. It's my 2005 iMac keyboard. I use it on Windows PC. Use an iMac keyboard on a Windows PC? Just get one of these. Get one of these Logitech, like, wireless combos. That's what I use. Although, I'm probably going to switch to something else, just because I don't like batteries. Because these eat through rechargeable batteries really quickly. I've got a bunch of gaming keyboards, and I've got a ton of extra keyboards. So, I can use whatever, really. Whatever I want. Boppo, I've been anti-AI since AI art started getting traction. Oh, I am too. I can't stand AI. I will never fuck with AI, and the corpos are going insane over it now to the point they're buying up power plants. I really hope that bubble pops. I really hope it does too. I don't think it's gonna, but I really hope it does. Ban AI and unban weed. Based, let's do it. Smoke weed every day. Hey, a fellow Durago 1 subscriber. I can respect it. I'm not a big fan of Ask the AI shit on YouTube. I'm not either, but look, I'm gonna be honest. Those country songs that people make, they're fucking hilarious. But it's still bad. You shouldn't support it, obviously. Because the idea of AI making music in general is just, ugh, gross. Arizona, looking at Discord, doing schoolwork. Will says, I'd be surprised to see PA go to Trump, especially after the Puerto Rico mess. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there are a lot of Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania, are there? Yeah, but Trump has said racist shit in the past, and nobody seems to care. So, is this really going to be what breaks him? I don't know. They're eating the dogs, the immigrants. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. In Springfield. I'm having a feeling Trump will win, and I've seen a lot every day on Point Politics and Gold Crown Politics, and I see he wins Nevada. On Point Politics is literally like a Republican shill. So it's like, yeah, obviously he's going to say Trump's going to win because I've watched that guy before. He's like a super big Trump guy. Because I used to watch his videos, and like he's super in the tank for Trump. So it's like, take what he says with a massive grain of salt. I mean, he's not Red Eagle level, but, and to be fair, Let's Talk Elections has gotten to the point where he's firm the other direction too. But I don't know. This is why I want to make a channel for politics, because it's like, it's just stupid. It's like everyone's biased, and everyone won't actually tell you the data. Yeah, 19 people, 16 now. We're fine here. Yeah, don't worry, stream still works for us. Yeah, it stopped for a blank second. It lagged for a second, then it worked. It had a stroke. Yeah, I also use OBS. 7 people. I go wired. How many do we got? We got 12 people right now, it looks like. But then it says 14 concurrent viewers, whatever that means. Yeah. It's been slow on the Goodwill end. Absolutely. I haven't seen anything at Goodwill recently. Pretty much nothing good. At a Salvation Army, I got 2 elites for literally $1.50 a piece. Can't go wrong with that. So that will be in the next vacuum stage, which will probably maybe go up tomorrow. Hopefully. Vacmaster, I hope Kamala Harris wins. I agree. Vacmaster, you're from Iowa. You probably saw the Seltzer poll that had Harris up 3 in Iowa. Do you buy it? Do you think she has a shot at winning your state? Do you think Iowa can go blue, or do you think it's pretty deep red at this point? Rick Hoover, I almost got a DC-18. It was in sad shape and it smelled like smoke. Yeah. DC-18 is definitely an underrated dice, and I really like my DC-18. I haven't used it in a while, though. Backmaster 2020. I hope she does, and I think it's possible because more women are showing up than in previous elections. That's what that Iowa poll showed. That Iowa poll showed there was a massive number of like boomer women, and I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. I mean like older, like retired women who were coming out in support in voting for Kamala Harris. Which, if that's the case nationwide, if she's actually up 3 in Iowa, then Trump is toast. Like, there's no universe. Like, Trump is supposed to be winning Iowa. In my own model, I had, before that Seltzer poll came out, I had Trump winning Iowa by 11 points. I predicted that Iowa was going to zoom to the right, and it was going to be like a very comfortable victory for Trump. And that Seltzer comes out, and that Seltzer poll comes out, and it's +3. And I'm like, should I stick with saying that it goes to Trump by 11, or should I be like more bullish on Trump in Iowa, or should I change my prediction literally at the last possible day and say that, you know, she is only down by like 7 or 8, you know? I don't see a universe where Kamala actually wins Iowa. But I'd be happy to be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong. If she wins Iowa, it's a wrap. It's not necessarily a wrap because technically speaking, Trump could still, in a literal sense, he could get to 270 without Iowa. But like, what are the odds that Iowa shifts 10 points to the right, yet you know what, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania somehow vote for Trump, and Iowa is up by 3 for Harris? That makes no sense. This isn't 1988, you know. This isn't Michael Dukakis. You know, that's not going to happen where Iowa goes blue and Pennsylvania goes red and Michigan goes red. That's not going to happen. Like I said, I will eat a phone case if that happens. So I've seen more Harris Walls signs than I would have thought. To be fair, I do too in my area too. You know, in my area, I didn't see any Biden signs last time around. None. It was all Trump. And now it's like a 50-50 split. And I live in a county that's like 70-30 for Trump. Or it's like 65-35 for Trump. Have you tried the two elites yet? I have not, honestly. I'm waiting for the video, the vacuum state video, to try them in. It's not like it matters, because if they don't run, like, it's still worth it. Buster, I've seen multiple Harris Walls signs in my area and 2 in my subdivision. Wow, it's pretty good. I genuinely feel like the suburbs are going to shift even more heavily away from Trump than they did in 2020. Like, again, I said it before, I think 2024 is the reverse 2016. Like, I genuinely think that. I think all the signs are there. I think Harris is getting the type of Republican suburban support that Clinton was trying to get and failed to get. And then Trump just doesn't have the working class appeal that he did. He's still going to win some of those voters. Harris is not Obama. That's not going to happen. She's not going to win Iowa and Ohio. I mean, she's not going to win Ohio anyways because of J.D. Vance being on the ticket. But, like, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like the fact that her approval rating has spiked. Like, her approval rating was at like the same as Biden's just a few months ago, and now it's, you know, last I saw was at like 50. It was at like 50. It was like 50-50. Or if she was underwater, she was underwater like 2 points, whereas Trump is down like 17 or something like that. Kamala Harris approval rating. What's the her favorability polls? Okay, that's kind of weird. So this doesn't seem right. Okay, it's still way higher than it was before, but the disapprove is still up like 5. What poll was I looking at? Ipsos Reuters? Only, wait, what the fuck? So now in the polls, apparently she has +8 disapproval? +4 disapprove that? What? I literally just saw like a poll where she was up in approval. Well, this one says +1. Disapprove +1. Okay, so what's Trump then? What's Trump at? Wait, why does Trump's not have the friggin' map? That's kind of weird. Oh, because it goes way further back. That's why. Wait, this is 2020. This isn't right now. This is when he was president. Okay. So Trump's isn't even that much worse, actually. Oh, that's a bad sign. Wait, January? When the hell was this? Wait, this isn't recent. This is when he was president. This isn't what I wanted. What's Biden's at? Okay, well, Biden's is still really bad. 38.5% approval. Oh, that's bad. That could cost Harris the election right there. That could cost the election right then and there. But that's the thing, is it's like, how many of these people saying that they disapprove of Biden are because he hasn't codified Roe v. Wade? That's what I want to figure out. Like, I want to see why. Like, why are people not reporting, like, why do you disapprove of the current administration? Like, because that's the only scenario where I could see where their approval rating is this low and yet the incumbent party still wins. But that's a big reason. That's a big reason. We're in unprecedented times. So, fuck if I know at this point. What are the polls at right now? Latest polls. Okay, so well, here we go. There's it's congressional approval. Okay. Wait, where's... Oh my god. What are the national polls at right now? Trump +1. Even? Really? 50-50? You expect me to believe that it's 50-50? You expect me to believe that Trump's on the doorstep of getting a majority of the vote when he's never even made it to 47? Yeah, sure. That's totally gonna friggin' happen. Especially with Dobbs and everything. God, polling is just cooked right now. So Pennsylvania is even, Nevada is even, Georgia and North Carolina are ever so slightly tilting towards Trump. Same with Michigan and Wisconsin for Harris. Again, another reason why I think the polls are bullshit this time around is what Tammy Baldwin is up 2 in Wisconsin. Bob Casey is up 3 in Pennsylvania. Like, Bob Casey is an electoral juggernaut. There's no world where Casey wins by less than 8 points against Dave McCormick. Like, what is this shit? Like, this makes more sense. +8, +7 for Bob Casey. Now I'm supposed to believe that it's a 2-point race. Like, I'm supposed to believe that Pennsylvania's Senate race is in play. Like, come on. Like, these polls are just bullshit at this point. Same with Wisconsin. Tammy Baldwin is incredibly popular. And again, +6.5, +5. That makes perfect sense. And then now it's +2. Like, that's bullshit. There's no way. Michigan, Alyssa Slotkin. Like, how is she the most, again, like, see, this at least makes sense. 3.6, 48 to 45. Again, that's going to be about a 5-point victory. Again, Texas. Yeah. think it's possible that Colin Allred could win, but I don't know. For the longest time, I predicted that Allred would defeat Ted Cruz. Now I'm not really so sure. Again, I don't know. What about Ohio? Ohio's really close, but it's Ohio. It's gonna go red, and yet, like, Bernie Moreno's now leading in Ohio, and Sherrod Brown was a super popular senator, and he still is. He's incredibly popular, but again, he's not at 50%. He's at 48, 47. You know, he's at 47 now, so it's like he could win. And if Bernie Moreno wins, because I think John Tester, I think is going to lose at this point. I think Tester's kind of cooked. You know, you just got too much negative partisanship. But that's the thing. The same thing. Here's an argument that I think is probably makes sense. If you're going to make the argument that Ohio, that the Democratic senators in Ohio and in Montana are going to flip red because of partisanship, then you can't tell me that Harris is going to lose North Carolina. Because North Carolina is, it's R+1 in North Carolina. This is literally Trump's exact margin in 2016, or in 2020, was R+1.2. But if we go to the gubernatorial race in North Carolina, North Carolina, look at this. Josh Stein is up 17 points. He's not going to win by 17, but you can't tell me that 17%, or that he's going to win by 17%, and then Trump's still going to hold on in North Carolina. I just don't think that level ticket splitting in North Carolina is going to happen. And that's the same reason why I now unfortunately believe that Democrats will not win the Senate. It's going to be a game of musical chairs. We're going to flip back the House, and we're going to flip back the presidency, but Republicans are going to flip the Senate. So it's going to be the other way around. It's going to be the exact opposite of where it is now. Well, I guess the president would still win, but the two lower chambers are going to switch. It'll be like musical chairs, which means appointments are going to be really difficult to get through unless we get someone like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski to vote with the Democrats. But yeah. Vagmaster, the difference between Hillary and Kamala Harris is women had the right to abortion in 2016. They do not in 2024 anymore. Sadly, it's now up to the states, and it should be federally legal in all 50. Yeah, doesn't Iowa have, a 6-week abortion ban? Now that I'm actually thinking about it, why would I be right about Iowa being plus 11? It would probably make sense, actually. Now that I think about it, it would probably make sense that in the red states that have the harshest abortion bans, that those would be the ones to shift the most left in favor of Harris, because those women are going to be motivated to turn out. How did I not think about that until now? We actually could see a really strange map where red states get really blue, get much bluer, and then swing states are super close. Huh. That's kind of interesting. So maybe the Iowa poll is right. And then what does that say for Florida and Texas? Because Florida and Texas both have abortion bans, really, really draconian abortion bans. Could we see a blowout? Could we see an actual landslide? What would that look like? So let's say she sweeps the battlegrounds and gets Iowa. One of my friends' prediction was this, 355. Or no, I remember. One of my friends' predictions was the toss-ups plus Iowa, which would be 325. Kyle Kalinske from Secular Talk he's predicting that Florida goes blue, which sounds really goofy to me. But, because to me, if Florida goes blue, then Texas is going blue. And if that's the case, then it's a landslide, 395. That's almost 400 electoral votes. You're done. You're done, you're cooked. Oh my God, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be amazing? That'd be so awesome. Man, that'd be great. But yeah, so that's pretty crazy. So maybe that would be a scenario where Colin Allred would win. if people just really hate Ted Cruz that much. Wow. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Because I have Texas going red by about 3 points, so it's going to be close. Florida, I think, is zooming the other direction. But that's the thing is, Florida has the abortion thing on the ballot. So, which is part of the reason why I give Harris Nevada and Arizona, because I think those types of voters will turn out and will support Kamala. In Florida, I think it'll be the other way around. I think in Florida, there will be enough people coming out to support that amendment, which will then give them permission to, on the same ballot, vote for Trump, because abortion to be protected, and they otherwise want Trump. But yeah, so I think a 365 map could be possible. I think this could be possible, and I think Alaska, I could throw in Alaska too. I don't think Florida or Ohio go red, but I could see 368, maybe 369. Maybe that rural district comes out. You know, because remember, fun fact, if this is the map, that's literally Obama 08. Obama 08 was 365 to 173. 365 Obama, 173 for McCain. Wouldn't that be kind of funny? Because people have been saying, oh, Harris has the same amount of enthusiasm as Obama in 2008. If that's true, then wouldn't this map be funny? This literally would be Obama 08. 365 to 173. Yeah. Is there anything? So, should we talk about vacuums at all before I end this stream? Because I'm getting tired. I want to go to bed. I expect to be up. I expect to be up quite late tomorrow. My chest hurts really bad, and Riley is snoring really loudly, and that really irritates me because I wanted to sleep in the bed tonight because my chest hurts so bad. me, I dare you to. Badly out of tune. I just realized you can't even see the chords I'm playing because of the... This fingernail is way too long. Alrighty. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It is late and I want to go to bed and my chest hurts. Anyways, this was Intelitech Studios signing out. And yeah, go vote. Go flip some red states so that way I have to eat this. Please make me wrong in believing that Harris will only win the toss-up states. Anyways, Intelitech Studios signing out. Have a good one. Go vote. Make your voice heard. You will see me on the other side. And I will see you on the other side. Have a good one. Peace.